Hey, this is Wendy with Loaves and Dishes, and today we are going to make some easy tomato soup. Here's what you're going to need. Plus, you're going to need sugar, and I think I left something else out, but we'll cover it here in the recipe. You're going to melt a stick of butter, and I have really speeded this up, so over medium heat, just melt a stick of butter. You can see I'm doing about a million other things while I'm waiting for that butter to melt. And this is a pretty large stock pot. We're going to make this tomato soup out of pantry ingredients that you already have. You'll notice at the end of the recipe, I'm going to add garlic powder and onion powder. And that is because this is easy tomato soup. If you really want to get the punch of those fresh flavors, you absolutely can use an onion and garlic. You can even use actual tomatoes if you want, instead of the canned variety. But then it wouldn't actually be an easy tomato soup. So this is just for how to make tomato soup out of your pantry ingredients. Melt your stick of butter, and then we're going to add 1/4 cup of flour. See the butter's melting and a little bit sizzly. I actually turned the heat off because I didn't want it to get over brown before I could get back over to the stove and put the flour in. But add your 1/4 cup of flour and whisk it in, and you'll see it dissolves really easily. And the point of doing that is because it's going to help thicken up your soup later. The point of all the butter is to add a punch of flavors. So you need a little bit of fat in your recipe because it helps your tongue to actually be able to taste what you've cooked. So you can see I'm going to let that flour cook for just a little bit. You want it to cook a little bit to cook out the flour taste. And just a minute or maybe 2 is fine. This whole recipe doesn't take longer than about 25 minutes. Then we're going to add 2 28-ounce cans of crushed tomato. I'm using the Rosso brand here, but any quality brand of canned tomatoes will be just fine. I like the big cans of Aldi tomatoes or the Rosso, or I can't think of the name of the other one at the moment, but anyway, just some quality canned tomatoes. And you can see the crushed tomatoes really don't have chunks of tomato in them. If you wanted to use diced tomatoes or some other kind of tomato that you have in your pantry, that is fine. Any will work. You just might have to blend them up a little bit more when you get to that part. That's why I like to use the crushed tomatoes, because you wouldn't even have to blend it if you didn't want to. But then you mix it in, and then we're going to add chicken stock. And if you're using the boxes of chicken stock like I have here, then it will be 1.5 boxes. Otherwise, just 6 cups will do. And again, you want to use a quality chicken stock, something that's got good flavor. I'm using the Aldi brand in this video. I really like homemade chicken stock, and I've got a great recipe for that on Loaves and Dishes. So loavesandishes.net. Just search chicken stock and you'll find it. So add that chicken stock, then mix it in good. This is such an easy recipe, y'all. So once your chicken stock is all mixed in good with your tomatoes, then I like to go ahead and use an immersion blender and get that blended up. Oh, I must have needed to add a little bit more of the chicken stock. So here we go. Just use your immersion blender, blend it up. Whoops, get the spoon out of there. You don't want wood splinters in your tomato soup. And how do you know when it is blended enough? Well, when it just seems smooth enough. This barely had little chunks in it anyway, so it didn't need much, but I went ahead and blended it really well because I wanted it very creamy. If it's not the consistency you like and you want it thinner, you can always run it through a fine mesh strainer. But that seems like that ventures beyond easy tomato soup, so. Now we're going to add the seasonings, and we're going to add a teaspoon of salt and pepper and a tablespoon each of garlic powder and onion powder. And like I said at the beginning, it is just fine if you want to saute the onions and garlic before you start the recipe. Just do that in your butter when you start, and you want to saute the onions till they're soft, and then add the garlic for about a minute, and then when it gets fragrant, you want to go ahead and add your flour and move on down with the recipe. You can see I didn't measure anything here, and that's fine. Just go with what looks good to you, but about a tablespoon of each. And I think you're going to see that my onion powder has kind of clumped up. And you know what? This is a good example of what to do. Bang it around, let the clumps come out, and then just mix them in your soup really good, and they'll mix in. No problem. So you might want to know, once you get this soup fixed, what can you do? If it's more than what you can eat right now, you can freeze it. So allow that to simmer for about 20 minutes. And then pour yourself a big old bowl, make yourself a grilled cheese sandwich, and really enjoy this soup, y'all. It is good, and it's fast, and it's an easy way to have a delicious bowl of fresh tomato soup that you don't have to make out of a condensed soup can. You can even call it homemade. Enjoy! Oh, and go take a peek at my other recipes too.